And welcome to this week's Dux-Soup webinar, Dux-Soup and Pipedrive, how to automate LinkedIn activity using Dux-Soup Turbo and Pipedrive. Giles Garnett, the head of professional services, will be presenting this webinar, and live chat is monitored by Jin, the head of customer support. At the end of the webinar, we will have Q&A with Giles. Thank you for joining us today, and let's start.
Thank you, Jin. Hi, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone joining today's Dux-Soup webinar, be that live or recorded, as always. We're very happy to welcome you all on the webinar today, and I understand we have a really good mixture of Dux-Soup Pro, Dux-Soup Turbo, and Pipedrive users. Firstly, to introduce myself to those who are new to Dux-Soup, my name is Giles Garnett. I am the head of professional services here at Dux-Soup. I present the fortnightly Dux-Soup webinars, as well as running technical and booster calls for our customers and doing consultancy setups for our customers and users. We have a really nice topic, new topic for you today. And what I'll be doing is I'll be demoing the Dux-Soup and Pipedrive integration, which was first introduced a few months back. Since the initial introduction, we've made a few small adjustments in line with customer and user feedback and suggestions. Now, while I'm presenting, Jin, who you've just heard from, our head of customer support here at Dux-Soup, will be doing her best to answer your questions on the web chat. As always, please do try and keep your questions on topic so that they're useful for the audience. You can always visit the Dux-Soup support pages and use the live chat function there if you have other questions. As always, the webinar today will be recorded and available to you all. And those who are registered will get an automatic link, and later on the recording will be made available on our website and the Dux-Soup YouTube channel, alongside all of our previous content. Now, very quickly, because I am aware we have a lot of Pipedrive users who've subscribed via the Pipedrive channels, I'll give you a very brief overview as to what Dux-Soup is. Make sure we're on the right screen. There we go. So with Dux-Soup, using Dux-Soup with LinkedIn, you can automate your LinkedIn lead generation activities. You can use Dux-Soup to automatically invite people to be part of your LinkedIn network with personalized messages. You can use Dux-Soup tags to search, filter, and target your audience. You can automatically message first-degree connections, outreach messages. You can download your data. And those top 5 parts there are all part of the Pro package. The lower 3 here, the ones in italics, the send automatic follow-up messages, the funnel stats tracking, the integrations with other systems, those are part of the Turbo product. Now, Turbo is required, the Turbo product is required in order for the integrations with other systems to work. And when I say other systems, I mean such systems as Pipedrive, and then also Integromat, Zapier, etc., etc. That brings us perfectly onto what we can do with Pipedrive, and what we've developed, what the developers have put together over the last year or so is this direct integration between Dux-Soup and Pipedrive, and the integration is direct, so you don't need to use any third-party applications such as Zapier or Integromat. What I'm going to show you in the coming demo now over the next few minutes is how to install what we call the Dux-Soup connector, what your setup options are, and then how to use it, how to harness the power of the integration of using LinkedIn, Dux-Soup, and Pipedrive together. So hopefully we can now come out of the slides and we'll go into demo mode. Hopefully everyone can hear me and everyone can see. Just for those who've been following our webinars for some time, this is actually the last time we're going to be using Demio. We're going to be moving to a new platform for the next webinar. So watch this space, and the invites coming out for that one. We'll come on to that later. So first of all, we need to install the Pipedrive connector, the Dux-Soup connector. First of all, you need to make sure you've got the Turbo product of Dux-Soup. You can tell that by looking at the color of your Dux-Soup icon here in the top right-hand corner. The turquoise duck means you've got the Turbo edition. And if you need to upgrade from Pro or from the free version, you can do that via the Dux-Soup website. So first of all, I'm going to just show you where you can go to what we call the Dux Dash. Click on the Dux-Soup icon here, and I go down to the bottom right-hand corner. We have here the Dux Dash. We press that button there. opens me up a new tab. And because I'm a Turbo user, I have all of these options down the side here. And you can see down on the side here, we have an interface here to what we call the CRM connections. Now, currently, I don't have anything installed here. I said I was going to show you how to install it. Now, I can click this link here to go straight to the Pipedrive marketplace. The alternative is to go into your Pipedrive account. Just log on to Pipedrive a second. There we go. And what we can do is we can go to the marketplace within Pipedrive as well. So what I'll do is I'll go to more here. We go to the marketplace over on the left-hand side. Under search apps here, we'll go to look for Dux-Soup. And there we are. We have the Dux-Soup connector. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to install the application, install the connector, and that will open up all sorts of options for us to be able to share our data across the various platforms. I'm going to press the install now. And what we'll get now is we'll get some confirmation as to what we want to do. And what we have to do here is when we're installing the connector, we have to make sure that we're logged on to an administrative account. And the reason for that is because we need to make sure it's an administrator account, is because we're going to create some new fields within the Pipedrive environment, which we populated automatically during visits and message exchanges, etc. And we need to have those fields populated in order for the communication to work correctly. So when you're installing the Pipedrive, the Dux-Soup connector, make sure you're on an administrator account in order for that to work correctly. And I'll show you those fields shortly there. I'm going to allow those permissions and install the connector. So we'll just wait for that to install. And there we go. We've now installed it. And what we have here is we have now a view of the Dux dash here as we went to just now. And under CRM connections, we can see here, I have now got the Pipedrive account installed here. What we can do now is we can go back to Pipedrive. Let's go back from here to this page here. And what we can do now is we can have a look in Pipedrive and see the various options that we have now enabled within Pipedrive. If I go to my contacts, for example, here over on the left-hand side, if I now click on a contact here, what we should see over on the right-hand side here, let's just select a contact. If I click over here, you'll see here, I now have these options here which have appeared, and these allow me to do various things directly with Dux-Soup. Now, the first thing you probably want to do is populate your CRM with your LinkedIn contacts, and we can do that automatically. We do that by going back to our Dux-Soup, our Dux dash options here, and you can see here these options that we have here on the left-hand side. And we can see here, create or update Pipedrive people from LinkedIn profile views. I will zoom in a fraction just in case it's not too clear. Hopefully everyone can see that. So there we are. The first option, create or update Pipedrive people from LinkedIn profile views. So what I could do now is, for example, if I wanted to put all of my first degree connections into my CRM, I could enable this, tick that button there, and now wait for Dux-Soup. Yeah, there we are. Save the options. And now I could go to my list of first degree connections within LinkedIn, be that within Sales Navigator or standard LinkedIn, and I could just carry out auto visits to them. So I'll go to my LinkedIn page. I'll go to my network here at the top, and I'll go to my connections over here on the left-hand side. So these are my first degree connections. Now I need to go into my Dux-Soup options just to make sure I'm going to not send any spurious messages out here. So let's just go in here a second. I just want to carry out some auto visits to these people. Let's get rid of these tags and let's turn that one off. There we go. I'm not going to be doing anything else. Excuse me 1 second. It's the joys of doing things live. No, we don't want to do that. We're not doing any visits and connect. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to visit some profiles, and we should see these people then appear within my CRM. If I press the visit profiles, I need to zoom out because the box is too big. There we go. Confirm my actions. Okay, that. And because I visited some of these people recently, then it's not going to visit them, but there we are. So we're now going to visit some of these people in this list here. We'll see these profiles now opening up. Dux-Soup will collect the data. So we've got Edward here, Edward. Once it's opened that profile and closed it, we'll then have a look in Pipedrive to see if his details have appeared within the CRM. Wait a second. There we go. That's now closed that one, and now it's going to go on to the next one. It'll go on to Sunny and then Urine. So now let's go over to my Pipedrive environment and have a look and see if, let's refresh that a second. Bear with me one moment. And we'll go to E, and there we are, as if by magic it's not there. Right, let's go and have a check and see what's happened. Okay. So here we can see everything is enabled. Maybe it's just going to take a moment or two for those details to appear in there. Nothing like a live demo to make sure everything is not working correctly. There we go. Seamless as always. Let's have a quick check. It's visiting automatically. And now I've visited quite a few. Now, Sunny, let's see if we can find any of these. Or maybe I've got some of these others in here. Let's have a look. There we go. So here we are. We have this chap here who I've just carried out an auto visit to. His details have been forwarded into probably because Edward's got this icon at the beginning of his name. That's probably what's caused the problem there. But what we can see here is that by carrying out auto visits, we should be able to populate the data within our CRM automatically. And you can see here these LinkedIn fields here that have been generated. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to another profile here rather than looking at that one. Let's go to this one here, Jan Janssen. One of our testing profiles. What we've got here is you can see here LinkedIn ID, LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn location, LinkedIn industry, and LinkedIn degree. Those are all the fields that are created during the installation of the connector, the Dux-Soup connector. So those are the bits of data that are populated automatically. And what we can do now is, so now it's finding some duplicates because I'm visiting people who I've visited already. So it's that's why that's coming up with an alert. So what we'll do is we'll stop the robot there. I don't want to carry too many duplicates into my CRM. But what you can do here, as you can see, is there's all sorts of options that you've got from within LinkedIn and Dux-Soup as to how to create your custom lists. If you're familiar with using Dux-Soup, you can scan lists, of course, from out of LinkedIn and run those automatically. So you could scan a list of your first degree connections or a portion of your first degree connections, carrying out auto visits to those using the revisit tool, and then populate exactly who you want to go into your CRM. We'll just go to view and merge. There we are. So there we are. It's finding some duplicates there of people who I have tried to import more than once. Let's go back to my contacts a second. And we'll go to all. Now, as you're aware, of course, of course, each of these people will be owned by different users. So we have a number of different users on this account using this particular CRM account. So there's only limited data that you can import into the CRM. One of the questions was that is it possible to import how many first degree connections people have or the time and date that you've connected with them? But of course, that's not necessarily going to be relevant for a CRM because it could be multiple people sharing that data. So we're doing our best to fulfill the requirements of our users. And this is where we have sort of found a compromise as to what we're going to try and import here. What we can also do from within our CRM then, and if we go back to our Dux dash here, we also have these two further options here to create Pipedrive activities for inbound LinkedIn messages. So when somebody messages you in LinkedIn, we can have what we call the message bridge within Dux-Soup. Recognize that somebody has messaged you. That message can then appear as an activity within Pipedrive. Similarly, when somebody accepts your connection request, so if you're doing your auto visits and your outreach for new connections, you're sending out those. When people accept your connection request, you can have an activity created within Pipedrive relating to any new connections. So if I turn these two on here, what we're going to see then is we'll see some of my options change under here, we'll see the message bridge being enabled, for example. And what will happen then is that Dux-Soup will open up some new windows, check for new connections and check for messages. And it should then create some activities within the CRM environment, which we can then follow up, of course, from directly within the CRM. So first of all, I'm going to enable those two options there. Now, Dux-Soup is now going to automatically open my messaging box. I need to leave that running. It can run in the background. I can't minimize it, otherwise it doesn't process the data properly. And it's now going to look for new messages, etc., etc. And if the people who are in my message, in the messages there, are also existing within my CRM, I should then start to see activities appearing in here. So Dux-Soup is picking up some messages here and applying the auto tags, the system tags. And what we can see now is there we are, some activities appearing here. If I go here and have a look at my activities, what we should see in a second, let's have a quick look. If I go to my activity list here, so there we are, we can see here some messages that have come in from people to my LinkedIn environment that are now appearing as activities here within Pipedrive, and I can then take the lead from in here and actually start to message from in here as well. As I say, what you can also do here, so this would happen for both messages and new connections. Now, I've not run it to look for new connections at the moment, it's just picking up some messages. But what you can see here, for example, if I just open one of these, you'll see here I have a direct link now to that message thread as well. I can see exactly when that's come in, and when I need to follow, I can define when I want to follow that activity up as well within the CRM environment. Now, if I want to drive activities within my network from my CRM, I can, as I showed you earlier. Let's take this one for example. If I go to Jan Janssen again here, now I know that Jan is not a first-degree connection of mine in the CRM, but what I can do here is I can actually now, because he has this information here, it's important that we have the LinkedIn ID and the URL of the profile. What I can do with that information is I can now send this individual a connection request from within the Pipedrive environment. So if I press request connection, I can then send a message to this individual. Now I can also use the message markers that we use when we're doing a normal outreach within Dux-Soup. So if you're familiar with those, and if you're familiar with Dux-Soup, all of those message markers, you can utilize those here. One thing I just want to go and do is just double check my settings to make sure everything is working, is all set up. So yeah, the remote control is enabled, so that'll enable me to send this. Let's go back here. Hi, FN. It would be great to connect. There we go. I will now okay this, and what we should see then is we should see this being automatically handled by the remote control function. We'll see it appear in our Dux dash under a queued activity, and then we'll see the window open and the invitation request going. So if I press OK there, connection request has been queued. If we go over here and we have a look at our queued activity, just refresh that. Oh, it's already opened it. There we are. It was very quick. So if we look at this one here, we can now see exactly this activity going through. So this is Dux-Soup opening the information, opening the profile. We'll just let this run because it'll populate the message in a second and send a connection request. Always takes a little longer when you're watching it live, of course. There we are, sending connection request. I can add my note. It's going to happen automatically because I've already populated that note. Just wait for that to happen. There we go. So it's picked up his first name, and that's now sent that connection request to that individual. So that item has been processed from my queue here. If I now look at my activity log, I can see here my I successfully sent a connection request to that profile, and you can see here exactly what message I used to send to that person. So there you can drive your activity from within the CRM. Likewise, if so this individual wasn't a first degree connection of mine, but if I go to somebody who is a first degree connection, if I take one of my colleagues, and if I send, say I want to, I could update the contact by carrying out a visit, or again, I can send a message. So again, here I can do hi_FN_ and put your outreach message to these people here. Of course, you have to adhere to the character limits, of course, that are there within LinkedIn. So when you're sending a connection request, you're still limited to only 300 characters. When you're sending an outreach message, you can send a much longer message. So I'll just do just testing. There we go. Do that one. I'll press OK there. That message will now be queued. If I have a look at my queued activities, there we are. That's my message being queued to that particular profile, and that will be sent on my behalf very shortly. We'll see the profile open there, and that will automatically be processed. So what happens there, you can see exactly how you can control the different activities within from within your Pipedrive environment. Let's see if I can pick up some new connections a second. Let's see if we can force it to do that a moment. Let's go to my options. Let's check for new connections. So let's do that one. There we are. Let's check for some new connections and see if we can pick up, see if we can show you some new connections being picked up within the activity list here as well. I've not checked for new connections. I was waiting to do that here as well. So hopefully this will now pick up some new connections. Bear with me one moment. And we should then see, here we go. So it's picking up some new connections. So here we are, some invitations accepted from various people here. And those then appear here as activities as well against my new first degree connections. So you can see here the top three, my first new connections there. It's going to go through quite a lot because I've not run this for a few days in order to make sure that there was plenty to demo and show exactly what's happening here. And again, similarly here, if I open one of these, I can then see exactly who it was. I can view the contact in LinkedIn. I can just go directly to that URL there and see exactly what's happened. That gives you a flavor as to how that can work there with running all of your lead generation activity from within your CRM. Of course, there are a multitude of opportunities there for being able to have everything working together. If we go back to here under the Dux-Soup options, there's a few things that you need to be aware of here. So when you're running this, it uses the when you're running the integration, it uses this functionality here to send effectively webhook details to your Pipedrive account, capturing visit and message data and forwarding that accordingly. The message bridge is the functionality that checks for your mailbox and your standard mailbox and your Sales Navigator mailbox for people who are responding to you. It also picks up your new connections. And then the remote control functionality here allows activity to be triggered from an outside application. In this case, it's Pipedrive, as I have demonstrated to you already. So if we go back here, we go back to my contacts. Let's just select someone here. So that then, of course, enables you to be able to do these activities here, be that either sending a message, updating a contact, and requesting a connection, of course, as I demonstrated earlier. Now, of course, you can select multiple contacts simultaneously and do these in bulk and have them all queued up on the server to be able to have that all queued up on your behalf. And it's up to you how you then use the data. I mentioned earlier about scanning lists from within LinkedIn. And if you can scan your lists from within LinkedIn, have it as a CSV file, import that data into the CRM and run your outreach directly from within the CRM, that's a very powerful way to do that. We've got all sorts of information available on our website. Let's very quickly go to the website. There we go. There's our homepage. There's lots more information on here. And if you want to look at more information about our integrations, we've got a new page here which summarizes all of our Dux-Soup integrations, which are now up and running. So we've got our Zapier, our Pipedrive, and our Integromat direct integrations. We've got LeadFuse and Ziptify. Along the same lines as with Pipedrive, we will at some point in the future be integrating into HubSpot. But today we really wanted to focus on the Pipedrive functionality, show you exactly what's there, what's up and running, and how you can get used to that straight away. Get out there and get your hands dirty, as say, play around with it. We've had some very positive feedback from our users regarding this, and yeah, so the information that we have had from our users, of course, we've used to refine and improve things a little bit as well, to make sure that as much of the information that's relevant for people is being able to be imported as you require. Right, if I now go back to my slides. There we go. So I've shown you how to install it, shown you some of the setup options there, and then also how to use it. I've not gone into the details on the Dux-Soup side, but maybe we'll get to some of that within the questions and answers in a second, which hopefully, I ought to turn that off a second. Bear with me 1 second. Let's just turn all of that off a second so we don't get interrupted every few minutes. There we go. Let's disable that a second. Make sure that's all off. There we go. And we'll go back to the slides. Apologies for that. Otherwise, we're going to be interrupted permanently. Right. So in 2 weeks' time, we have a representative from Integromat joining us to help us present the latest situation with Integromat. The invite for that's not gone out yet because, as I say, we are changing webinar platforms. Some of us will be very pleased about that. Some of you will be very pleased about that. I know we've had some problems with Demio in the past. So we've listened to you guys and we are now moving to a new platform. So the invite for that one's coming out in the next day or two. It'll be up on the website very shortly. As always, I have to plug these. We have booster and technical sessions that you can book via the website. They are with myself. I can help you, enable you to get you set up with Dux-Soup, from the very basic calls all the way through to the technical stuff, helping you integrate whatever system it is you require to be integrated via Integromat or Zapier, or indeed setting up your Pipedrive integration. We can help all of that as well. We've been setting up a lot of people recently with virtual servers as well, people wanting to run multiple accounts in parallel and not wanting to use their local hardware resources. So lots of options there. Contact our support team or have a look at our website. You can book those sessions online. There's plenty of time slots available. I'm going to leave this page up because there's some useful links here. We've got our homepage where all our blogs are posted. So all of our webinar series is accompanied by blog posts. So what I've been reviewing today is also be covered by a blog post. We also have other blogs in there as well. It's not just the webinar content. We have the webinars, we have the integrations page, which I've shown you. We have our easy tutorials, that links to our YouTube page where you can see that. Our support page, there's a fabulous team of support experts on hand on our live chat and via email. We also have a feedback page, a user suggestion page, which is very active. There's lots of interesting ideas put there. You can upvote, of course, your favorite ones or the ones that are most important to you. And then our fabulous Dux-Soup Facebook group, which is very active, some very supportive people there chipping in with advice and tips and ideas, and a very useful source of information. Right, questions. I've been talking for too long.
Interesting webinar. I have a question about how can we organize data sync in accordance to city, localization, etc.
Within Pipedrive or LinkedIn?
I presume within Pipedrive.
Ooh, now I'm not a Pipedrive expert, so yeah, let's have a look. Let's take. Let's go to Janssen. Let's have a look. So we do, as you can see,
Pipedrive.
From LinkedIn to Pipedrive.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, basically, if you're carrying out if you're trying to, for example, let's have a think. If you're looking at your network within LinkedIn, you could, for example, say, right, if I only want to bring in people who are based in the Netherlands, for example, you can carry out a filter of your first degree connections. Now, you could, of course, do this also within Sales Navigator. But what you've got here is effectively, yeah, you can choose exactly which group of people you want to bring into your Pipedrive environment. So, for example, if you wanted to only bring people in, let's also go. Let's do London, UK. There we go. So here we are. We've got 58 results. I could now carry out an auto view of each of these individuals, making sure I had the correct options enabled here to create or update Pipedrive people. So I would then carry out auto visits to these people, enabling my correct options within there, and then bringing them into Pipedrive and then categorizing them within Pipedrive. Now you would, let's have a think, within Pipedrive you do get, you do get your LinkedIn location here, so you can probably then sort by LinkedIn location within Pipedrive as well. But you can bring them in basically in batches and then say, right, these ones I'm going to put under however you categorize them within your Pipedrive environment. I apologize. Pipedrive have been involved in promoting this webinar. They've been very supportive. Unfortunately, they couldn't get someone from Pipedrive to join us today. And I'm not a Pipedrive expert, unfortunately, but do my absolute best. But yeah, this is how you can sort of basically choose who you want to bring in. If you sort them by geographical area within LinkedIn before carrying out your auto visits, then that would help you to segment them accordingly.
That's it. We don't have any more questions.
Oh, anything else that you want to add, Jin? Because I know you've also been playing around with this a lot as well.
Well, some of the customers are concerned about data duplication. So what I would like to add is that as long as you're using Dux-Soup, no data will be duplicated. So, however, if you have added it, people manually and you don't have LinkedIn URLs, you can't send messages. So make sure to update your contacts on your Pipedrive.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Actually, let's just go to. I'll tell you what. Let's just go to my. Probably easier. There we go. So what we can see here is very important point. This number here, this LinkedIn ID, is a unique identifier that comes from LinkedIn. It's basically the database ID of the individual within the LinkedIn environment, and that's there. That is a unique identifier that Dux-Soup uses as well. And I mean, if I existed here within Pipedrive without that, I would see two versions of myself here. And you can merge those very easily. And once you've got this LinkedIn ID there, then that will not be duplicated. It will not create a second version of that particular contact within Pipedrive. These two fields here are the most important: the LinkedIn profile URL and the LinkedIn ID. And as long as you've got those, you have these options available. If you have someone within your Pipedrive environment without those bits of data there, then you will not be able to do this here, because Dux-Soup needs that information in order to queue up the remote control triggered activity. Anything further, Jin?
So some people asking about limitations, not like limitations, daily limits. Would you be able to just go through them quickly?
Yes, of course. Yes. So as many of you are aware, there are limitations as to what you can do in LinkedIn, depending on the type of account you have, of course. And what we have here under our Dux-Soup options, for those who didn't see how I got there, I clicked on the Dux-Soup icon. Top right hand corner, you've got the options button, gives you the access to the engine room, should we say, of Dux-Soup. And what you've got here is under the throttling tab. I'll slow that down because I speed it up when I'm doing demonstrations, because otherwise it goes too slowly. And what you have here is you have the ability to control exactly how much activity the robot can carry out on your behalf. If you leave this grayed out and don't check this box here, then Dux-Soup will look to see whether you have a free LinkedIn account or a paid LinkedIn account, and if so, what you have, and it will adapt its behavior according to your profile. You do have the ability here to override this. You can tick that box there, and you can see some various options here per day. Now, if you have a Sales Navigator account, you're usually fine to visit up to 500 profiles per day. That's usually not a problem for a paid Sales Navigator account. If you have a free account, you're looking really a maximum of 100 visits per day. Some people have, you hear anecdotally, people do go beyond that without any issues, but you will have limits as to how many searches you can carry out and those sorts of things if you have a free account. Having a paid account does open up more possibilities with the number of visits you can carry out. And unfortunately, to send a message using Dux-Soup, you do have to visit a profile. So yeah, any messaging you do with Dux-Soup, it opens a profile and it sends the message. So that does count as a profile visit against your daily usage stats. Yeah. I'm just seeing a couple of people there asking, will this be available as a recording? Yes, this will be available as a recording, as always. Yeah, just thought I'd chip in with that one. Yeah, so we have some advice on our website as well. There's one particular blog recently. Let me see if I can find it very quickly, which gives you some tips and tricks regarding and some advice regarding daily limits, etc., etc. It's actually under this one here, best practices for Dux-Soup Pro. If you go through this blog here, let's have a quick look. So managing within limits, profile visits and direct messages. So lots of information in this blog post, which is it's only a month or two old. I think we did this one in the summer. There's lots of information and advice within this particular blog post. Information about Dux-Soup, using Dux-Soup safely within LinkedIn. And then also, if you do get any warnings, there's some tips and tricks in here as to what to do and how to follow that up. I'll leave that one on the screen a second so that you can find that if you want to. If you go to our blog post and you just look for best practices for Dux-Soup Pro, you'll find that one there as well. So it's a really handy resource, that one. I refer to that quite a lot recently. Anything further, Jin?
Asking about connection requests limits.
Oh, connection request limits. Oh, yes, of course. So we advise never to try to grow your network by more than 5% per day. Now, that is, we always say keep between the 3 and the 5% mark. So the bigger your network, of course, the more possibilities you have there for inviting more people. But one thing that's very important is it very much depends on your conversion rate. So if you're achieving a 30 or 40% success rate, if you're sending out 100 connection requests and you're getting 30 or 40 people accepting, that's a really good conversion rate. 5 to 10, 15%. It's not so good, but it's also could be acceptable depending on what your targets are. Now, of course, depending on your conversion rate, then depends on how quickly your outstanding connection requests build up. And that's where we have a relatively new feature being put into a place recently. Now have this option here to automatically ask Dux-Soup to cancel your pending connection requests after so many days. You can change this to whatever you like. And if you enable that feature, what will happen is every hour, Dux-Soup will automatically open. I'll go to the page. Let me very quickly go to the page. It will automatically open your sent invitations, and it'll go down to the bottom, go to the end of it. And if anybody is beyond however long you have defined that you want to have outstanding connection requests there, it'll automatically withdraw ones that are beyond however old you have defined there. So you can then get Dux-Soup to automatically do that. And it'll only do it, of course, at the time that the planner is enabled and Dux-Soup is running and you're logged into LinkedIn, of course. So yeah, you can now have Dux-Soup manage that for you as well. So it depends on so between 3 and 5%, no more than 5% growth per day in the number of connection requests you send out. And also think about your target audience. If you're going out and spamming hundreds of people every day and you're getting people press on that dreaded "I don't know this person" button, that's when you're going to start to be asked by LinkedIn for email addresses. They'll put a restriction on your account because they believe that you are spamming people. You're just going out with the scattergun approach and not targeting. If you're targeting people and you're getting a good level of conversion, then you have more possibilities there to grow your network, and your network will grow quicker if you are targeting accurately and correctly, and also putting a good personalized connection request message together. Now, the psychology behind connection request messages is also well documented on our website, on the blog posts, etc. So have a read of that as well. The psychology of having a connection request message massively improves the chances of somebody accepting your connection request. It's a psychological thing, and if you can find a way of articulating some sort of a link with that person in your connection request message, that massively increases your chances of a positive outcome. Anything else, Jin?
So going back to Pipedrive, would you be able to show which data is being transferred from LinkedIn to Pipedrive, please?
Okay, yeah, so basically what we have here, if we go back to the Dux dash here, so for creating or updating Pipedrive people, this top option here, the information that is transferred there is the job title, the LinkedIn title, this information here. The LinkedIn ID comes across, that's the unique identifier. The URL of the LinkedIn profile pulls out their location, the location of the person, the industry, and also the LinkedIn degree, the owner of that connection within Pipedrive. It'll give you the LinkedIn degree. Now because this is my profile, I'm owned by somebody else as a connection within Pipedrive here. Now, no, that probably wouldn't work because I can't be a first degree connection of myself. But yeah, at some point, yeah, you can update contact, and then that would pull up the latest LinkedIn degree. And this information would be updated if you press the update contact button. So that's the contact information that comes across. You also get phone and email address if that is available. So that information comes across as well. If we go back to, let's have a look at my contact list here, for example. So we can see here, I get, for example, this guy's, here's a first degree connection. So I get his name, organization, email address if it's available from a first degree connection, phone number if it's there as well. So yeah, you get those bits of information as well. It depends, of course, on the level of privacy that the individual has placed on their LinkedIn profile as well. So there are a handful of people who, even though you're a first degree connection with, you cannot see a telephone number or an email address. It purely depends on what they have put within LinkedIn as to what comes across there. And then secondly, with regards the activities, we saw the activities earlier for messages and connections. We get information coming across there. In the activities, we can see that here. You can see who it's come from. You can see their organization. You get to see their email address as well, phone number if it's available. And then if you click on the activity, you can see exactly what's in there, who it's come from, and indeed have a direct URL link to either the connection if it's a new connection, or if it's a message, you can go straight to the conversation here, and also the text and the timestamp. That's the moment that it was sent to you. It's the timestamp as to when the message came into LinkedIn. Okay. Cool. My advice is, as with all of these things with automation, run it sensibly. Don't run it at 100 miles an hour. I always have my, whenever I'm doing anything on here, I always have the visiting set to either random or slowest. The reason for that is because if you use that in conjunction with the planner, you don't need to be running the robot 24 hours a day to reach your daily limits. If you run it too fast, then you are going to put yourself in, you're going to give yourself problems, because what we're trying to do with the robot here is to have it mimic human behavior. If it's doing something that's unrealistic and not humanly possible, that's when you're going to find yourself coming unstuck, I believe, with LinkedIn. So it's very much about, this should be taking the repetitive work away from you having to constantly send out invites, etc., etc., etc. You can then get Dux-Soup to do the heavy lifting, the repetitive work for you, so that you're then able to have time to add value where you need to add value. Your time is more valuable doing things where you can put the effort in and the customized stuff. You don't want to be doing the repetitive, boring stuff. You can step away from that by utilizing the power of LinkedIn with Dux-Soup and other systems such as Pipedrive, helping you manage your workflows more efficiently. Okay, nothing else?
So when a member connects, how quick the status is being pushed to Pipedrive from second degree to first?
Say again, Jen, I didn't quite catch that.
A member connects with you, how quick Dux-Soup is going to upgrade the...
Okay, yeah. So how? Okay, so what will happen is that there's a few dependencies on there. So what happens is that we'll just go back into here into the Dux-Soup options. What we have here is the message bridge. I'm going to turn all this off a second so we're not going to get interrupted again. The message bridge is what picks up or recognizes people connecting with you. And you can run this, you can have this checking every 10 minutes, or you can have that as little as 1 or as many as 60 minutes. And what happens is there is a new window pops up as Dux-Soup opens that checking for new connections. The frequency is up to you. You need to leave that window open for it to run properly and to recognize your new connections, but it will also be reliant on your planner. So the message bridge will only run when the planner is active as well. So if you have, for example, mine's looking a bit strange because I'm working strange hours, but there we go. So for this, for example, from 6 o'clock this evening, in about 15 minutes time for me, nothing's going to happen on my account until 8 o'clock tonight. It will go into snooze mode, and at that time, it won't pick up any new connections. It won't pick up anything. But at 10 o'clock, when I've enabled Dux-Soup to wake up again, the message bridge will open again, and it will check for new connections. It'll check for new messages, and at that point, my new connections will then go into my CRM environment. If that's what I've defined it to do, of course. And then, of course, then activity would come in if it's a new connection, and then I could carry out an auto visit and update the details according to that person. So they're no longer a second degree connection in my Pipedrive. They will appear as a first degree connection. So it depends. You can define how frequently the message bridge runs and also control it by using the planner. Okay. That was a rather long-winded answer to what seemed to be quite like a short question.
Yeah, thank you. So that's it.
Cool.
Again, we don't have any questions.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Carried on quite a long time today. Apologies for that. Hopefully it was of value. And I'll hand back over to Jin to sign off, and I'll speak again to you all within, in 2 weeks' time.
And if you have any further questions, I just posted Dux-Soup support email. Please email us and we will be happy to advise you further. And can't wait to see you in the next webinar. Bye-bye.